Ladies and gentlemen, here on the diner set we have Yvonne, comedian from Brick. Yvonne is a fellow producer at the Brick Art Media Center. As you can see, this is one of the sets here at the space at Chelsea Market. Yvonne is a writer. Yvonne is the producer, comedian. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and
Sure.
what do you do?
Well, I do a bunch of things. I'm a producer at Brick, like you said. I have a show called the Unknown Zone Talk Show.
Is there like a social media to it?
There is. You can go on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube, or you
Okay.
can watch it on cable twice a month. I was on this past Wednesday at 12 midnight, and every other Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. What's the name of the show? What's the tagline?
It's the Unknown Zone Talk Show. I'm the female Howard Stern.
Okay.
And I'm very funny, and I have a sidekick. I always have a sidekick and a clown on the show, and they're called Sloppy Seconds.
Sloppy Seconds.
Sloppy Seconds, yes.
How difficult it is to make comedy?
It's very difficult.
If someone would become a comedian, what do they need to do?
They have to want it more than anything, because it's very difficult. You have to know to begin with that you're funny. I was funny as a child. I would make people laugh. And for me, it was also a mechanism to get through my childhood because there were some rough moments, and I would always look at the funny side of the situation. And I was able to make people laugh, which made me laugh.
I have grown up in a family of entertainers, and my grandfather was a director for the circus in Odessa for 50 years.
Oh, wow.
So all the major entertainers in former Soviet Union been guests at our home and stayed and slept. So I kind of grew up knowing a lot of major comedians of that era.
Sure.
And I noticed that most of the comedians are not that funny in real life. They're very
No,
sad,
very serious.
very
Yes.
serious. Like how those two things come together.
That's a great question. And Steve Martin always said, comedy is serious business. And that's the misconception among civilians, is that civilians think comedy is very easy. But you brought up the best point, because I had a kind of a sad, rough childhood, and I would make jokes about the sadness which got me through.
Okay.
And a lot of times with many comedians are either sad or very angry. Right, we're angry at the injustices of the world, of our lives, and we make fun of. Comedians have this ability to see the funny side of sadness, and that's why, like, I was very sad a lot of the time, even though I come off like I'm fun and I'm happy. People always think the worst thing that people think about me is that I'm happy and I have no problems. I'm always happy and I have no problems.
What do you think is the future of comedy in 5, 10, 20 years? How do you think it will transform?
I think we're becoming truth tellers in a more profound way than I ever could have imagined because of everything that's going on in the world. Because a lot of times in the news they don't tell you the truth, right? So you go to a comedy club or you watch a comedy special or my show, the Unknown Zone Talk Show, and you will get the truth of what's going on, but yet we laugh at the craziness of life.
Okay.
So I think it's more of a truth-telling thing.
Is there any particular distinction in comedy based on origin of a person? Let's say, can you tell if it's a Jewish comedian or it's Italian comedian or where the person come from?
A lot of times the person will say,
I can tell it's a gender comedy. Like the girls would joke quite differently from the guys.
Right.
I can tell that. But is there like any of the
yes,
like
yes,
origin of the
absolutely. I think, well, sometimes you can tell just by a person's mannerisms and the way
Right,
they
you-
speak, but a lot of times we as funny people will talk about that. Like I always thought I was half Jewish.
Okay.
And people think I'm Jewish, right? I'm a New Yorker. So, if
Okay.
you're a New Yorker, you're almost like, you're Jewish by default. But my mother wasn't Jewish and my father was Jewish. But then I found out recently that my grandfather pretended he was Jewish
Interesting.
on my father's side, and that he was
Why
actually
would he-
Sicilian
Why would he do that?
because he wanted to marry my grandmother.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just found that out in the last couple of years. So my last
Interesting.
name, which is Yvonne Dillette, I always thought was really Yvonne Deletsky. But I found out recently it's Deletto.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I talk about that on my show. So I think a lot of comedians will talk about the fact they talk about their heritage or the way they grew up, and then you find out whether they're Jewish or
Let's
you know.
give a couple of examples of how we can make a joke on the spot.
You want me to make a joke? I don't. That's the thing. I don't tell jokes. I talk about things.
Okay.
So I'm not a
And
stand-up comedian.
I see. So
You know what I mean? Like I did a lot of improv comedy. So you'd be in a group and you get a suggestion from an
What's
audience.
the most popular joke? Let's say you would make a comment, and that comment would get a lot of.
Well, I can. I'll tell you. You want me to tell you a joke? I'll
Yes.
tell you a joke. Okay. There's this older couple, and they're hanging out. It's a little dirty. It's not terrible.
It's okay.
Okay, good.
All audience can live.
Okay, good. It's an older couple, and they're hanging out, and the guy says to the woman, "Guess how old I am?" So she looks at him, she looks around, she looks at him, and she goes, "You know what? I can't tell you how old you are unless you pull down your pants." So he goes, "Pull down my pants? What? How is me pulling down my pants going to tell you, help you figure out how old I am?" She goes, "Then forget it. I'm not going to do it." So he goes, "All right, all right, all right." So he pulls down his pants. She looks around. He goes, "Okay, so how old am I?" She goes, "You have to spread your butt cheeks. I can't. I don't know." So he goes, I'm not going to. I pulled down my pants. I'm not going to. You saw my whole bottom. I'm not going to spread. She goes, "Forget it. I'm not going to guess then." So he goes, "All right, all right." So he bends over, spreads his butt cheeks. She looks around, and she goes, 75. He goes, "That's right." He goes, How by me pulling down my pants and spreading my butt cheeks did you figure out I was 75? She goes, "You told me yesterday." Thank you very much. I'll be here all week. Thank you very much. Now, I don't tell jokes, but there are a couple I remember.
Okay. That's okay. Hopefully our audience can live, and
I think
please
they'll
follow
survive.
Yvonne on
Yes.
her show. And
Can I give you, before, are we wrapping up? I want to give you a gift, if I may.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to show, this is one of my logos for the Unknown Zone talk show.
Okay.
And you can,
Let's see.
I don't know if, can you
we
see
have
that?
The,
Yeah,
camera
okay.
move a little.
And I brought you a gift because
Wow.
on the Unknown Zone talk show we give gifts, and I have T-shirts. I have a choice for which one you would like because that's a little more feminine. And then there's, but you can have that one. You can have whichever one you want.
Oh, okay. I'll choose this one.
Okay, that's right. This is the manly one, and this is my other. It's kind of me on a mic.
Oh,
Me and
I
a
see.
mic, yes. That's my branding. So here you go.
Thank you so much.
You're
Ladies
welcome.
And gentlemen, come to Yvonne's show. Maybe you get
Watch my show. Yes,
Yes.
or come to it. I don't know.
They can write to you, I guess, and
Watch
maybe
me on
you
YouTube,
get invited.
yes.
And,
Absolutely.
watch it.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alex. That was
Nice to meet
wonderful.
you.
Thank you. Good job. All right.